We are turning to a competitive state Senate race in Queens. That's where the incumbent, Jessica Ramos, is looking to fend off a primary challenge from fellow Democrat Assemblywoman Jessica Gonzalez Rojas. Ramos has been representing the Queens district since 2019. It covers all or parts of Corona, Elmhurst, East Elmhurst, and Jackson Heights. As you might remember, Ramos made headlines last year after ending her campaign for mayor and backing former Governor Andrew Cuomo for the job. Since then, she has lost some support from allies in her reelection bid, including from the state's Working Families Party. And she joins me now from our Albany bureau to talk more about her reelection campaign. Welcome back to the program. Thank you for joining us, Senator.
Thanks for having me, Bobby.
So, let me start there. I mentioned the Working Families Party. There have been others, a couple of major unions, as well as the Queens Democratic Organization, who are not supporting you in your reelection bid and have thrown their support to your opponent. I wonder if you feel betrayed or what you think is going on there.
Well, the Queens County Democratic Organization has chosen to stay out of the race. They have not made an endorsement, and I respect that. I respect a lot of the accountability that's happening on both sides, whether it's any endorsements or whether it's the casino that is now going to be built in my district, which I voted against. But everyone in my district knows that I'm their senator, no one else's, and I am not done fighting for their families and for mine. I always have. I'm running on a very strong record of passing well over 150 bills. I have been fighting for the affordability in our district the entire tenure here in the state Senate. I've been a very productive chair of the Labor Committee and count on dozens of endorsements from lots of labor unions who represent workers that live and work in my district.
You mentioned the casino, Metropolitan Park Casino by Citi Field. You're a steadfast opponent of the casino project. Is that something that is going to be an issue in the campaign, or is it sort of moot now that the project has been approved?
Well, I always wanted it to be well known across the district that this was a possibility, but it has now been voted on last session when the state alienated land for it. And I have been opposed to that site being used for that purpose because of the environmental implications, because gambling is conducive to addictions in our neighborhood, and because I think there's better economic development that we could generate for our district that does not involve a casino.
I mentioned your opponent, Assemblywoman Jessica Gonzalez Rojas. What are some of the differences between you and your opponent? What sort of distinction do you draw for the voters?
Well, the casino vote is the biggest one. I am the only local elected official who voted against the casino. Everyone, including my opponent, voted for it, despite their affiliations to lots of progressive organizations. And in fact, I have expressed my disappointment that so many of these organizations failed to come out to fight against a billionaire, and not just any billionaire, but one that has been held accountable by the Securities and Exchange Commission and has paid one of the highest violations in the history of our country. I think that's a very serious conversation that needs to be had when we're fighting the oligarchy. I've also been much more proactive in putting money in people's pockets. I'm the last person to raise the minimum wage in New York State and tie it to inflation. I secured $2.1 billion for my neighbors and all New Yorkers who were excluded for unemployment insurance during the pandemic. I've expanded access to childcare and hoping that now we can build universal childcare on top of that. I have been fighting wage theft, which is pervasive in my community and across the state to the tune of $3 billion. So there's a lot that I can point to in my time here. I have never stopped fighting. I think I've just begun. And I am very happy to be able to be held on this record, and am going to be talking to my neighbors and making sure that they stay engaged in the work that we've been able to do for them here in Albany.
And Senator, no surprise, or no secret, I should say, that some of the reason that you have lost allies is disenchantment, I guess you could call it, with the fact that you endorsed former Governor Andrew Cuomo in the mayoral primary last year. I wonder now, with the benefit of hindsight, if you have any regrets about that.
Well, look, Andrew Cuomo lost the mayoral election. We now have Mayor Zoran Mamdani. I will be working with that administration just like I worked with the previous one. I didn't support Eric Adams, but he won that election. And I was able to work with that administration where we had common ground, certainly around a lot of the housing initiatives and economic development corporation initiatives that were taking place in and near my district. And so I'm going to continue to protect and fight for the interests of my neighbors. I'm the senator for working class people. I am a working class senator, and I'm going to continue to fight for the issues that I always have, no matter who's at the helm of an administration. My job as a state senator is to work with whoever is in power and be able to advance real material change that my neighbors can feel.
Just a few seconds left, but I wonder how you would assess the job that Mayor Mamdani has done so far in these first couple months.
Well, it's still very early. I mean, you know, February's coming to an end. It's got to be tough with two major snowstorms. And I think there's still a lot of transition happening. And, you know, there's concern over some things. And I'm really hoping that here in Albany, we do what we need to do in the legislature in order to tax the rich. That has always been a priority for me. I carry a bill to tax 135 people, the billionaires of New York State. They have a lot of unrealized capital gains that go untaxed. By my math, we would generate $25 billion within the first year if we were to make that law. And that, within and of itself, could help us fund universal child care, not just for New York City, but the entire state. So there's conversations happening right now while we're negotiating the budget here. And I'm confident that between that and my jobs and housing bill, because I'm really focused on building more affordable housing right now in my district and in this budget, that we're going to be able to make our case to the governor, and hopefully the final budget addresses these issues and we can deliver some big wins for our neighbors back home.
Very busy budget season and campaign season ahead for you.
Indeed.
State Senator Jessica Ramos, thank you so much for spending some time with us.
Of course, thanks for having me.